Hey guys, welcome to the next installment of EAP TV. My name is Kelvin Krupiak. I am your marketing ninja. And today what we're going to be talking about is advertising. We talked a couple weeks back about how you should be creating one good blog post, putting together a solid video, and then that will generate some success and traffic and engagement over time. But in the meantime, you need to be exploring advertising. And we're going to talk about the 3 metrics you can use to evaluate how successful your ad is, as well as which advertising platforms, social networks, you should be using. The advertising platform you should be putting your money into is Twitter, and oh, I couldn't get through that. Twitter's not. Don't put money into Twitter. I'm sure some of you watching this may already know that Tyler's very salty about Twitter. I like Twitter, not for advertising. We can talk about its uses later down the line. Facebook is where you should be putting your advertising dollars. Facebook gives you the best ROI. They give you really good targeting options, some really good in-depth metrics to evaluate your ads. And second to Facebook is going to be Google. Google's also another good ad platform. They're always going to be a useful platform. And they do offer a lot of really free tools that actually give you a lot of good insight. The problem with some of those tools like analytics and the AdWords, the keyword planner, things like that, they're not as intuitive as Facebook. There's a little bit of a learning curve if you're gonna go the Google route. But start with Facebook first. Let's just focus on that right now. Okay, so you started your ad campaign, you've done a boosted post, you've had some experience with advertising, you're still not quite sure how to evaluate whether or not your ad did well, whether or not you should continue that ad, you should scrap it for a new ad, or all around what your next move should be. So the first thing you need to do is let your ad run for enough time. That way you can gather enough information to determine how successful it is. If you don't have the info, if you don't have proper analytics, then you can't really make a decision on whether or not the ad was a success and whether or not you should move forward with something different. Let your ad run for 2 weeks at the very least. I like to let it run for 2 weeks so I can gather enough info and then I'll evaluate how successful it was. After those 2 weeks, there are 3 key things you need to look at to determine whether or not you need to let it keep running. Number 1 is the CPC. The CPC stands for the cost per click. That's going to be the very first base indicator of how well your ad performed. On a national average in the United States, the CPC for across all industries is around 26 to 37 cents for advertising campaigns. For your specific industry in real estate and lead generation, it's going to be right around 40 to 60 cents is a really optimal range to have your CPC. So if you're fitting right in there right now, your ad's sitting right in that 40 to 60 cent CPC, cost per click range, then let it keep running. Number 2 is going to be the CPM, which is the cost per impression. And you want to base this off every 1,000 impressions. The higher your impressions are, the lower your cost per click will be, because the cost per click is calculated by the number of people who saw your ad versus those who actually clicked on the ad itself. So the cost per impression needs to be high. The reach and impressions, the higher they are, the lower your cost per click will be. It's a pretty simple metric, but it does determine the type of visibility that Facebook is giving your ad. Number 3 is going to be the CTR, which is the click-through rate. The click-through rate is the final metric to determine basically web traffic. And people can't convert unless they've actually clicked through to your website. Now, the click-through rate is important, but one thing I really want to stress is that an ad is not a failure if it doesn't have a high click-through rate. As long as you've targeted it effectively, then let's say you had a reach of 2,000, your click-through rate was really small, so there wasn't a lot of web traffic, but if you targeted that ad effectively, then that means those 2,000 people in your specific area saw your ad and are now aware that you're a realtor and you only paid 10, 20 bucks to run that ad. So that's really effective advertising and good for your brand exposure. So don't completely call an ad a failure if it doesn't result in web traffic or, better yet, a lead. And those are basically it. Those are the 3 things you need to be looking at. Again, that's going to be CPC, CTR, and CPM. Cost per click, click-through rate, cost per impression. There's no way to get around it. You've got to kind of just learn what those metrics are so you can evaluate whether or not your ad's performing well. And if you're not sure, if you want to give me an example of the ad you're running, take a screenshot of your ad or maybe even your analytics and shoot me an email, kelvin@EasyAgentPro.com. I'd love to offer some feedback and some advice. That's all I have for you today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like down below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this on Facebook. We'll have a link back to the YouTube video down in the comments section where you can actually go back and subscribe to us. It really helps us out. We really appreciate you watching our videos, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.